Brilliance Audio presents Pain by Adam Southward, performed by Steve West. Mia stared through the rain. The bus shelter offered little protection, and her feet were already soaked, her face and body numb. But still she stared. The glaring lights of the hospital blurred in front of her. 3 ambulances were parked in the emergency bays across the street, and Mia's heart fluttered with anticipation.
Hold it,
she thought.
Wait until shift change. Safer that way.
Emergency departments never slept, but the night shift meant fewer staff and fewer visitors. She glanced at her watch. 5 minutes should do it. Mia wished she'd eaten. Hunger pains gnawed at her stomach, and she pulled a bottle of water from her coat pocket, taking a long swig, ignoring the hollow feeling as the warm liquid flooded her gut. A police car turned into the road ahead, slowing as it approached. Mia pulled up her hood and stood rigid as the car drifted by. It stopped, turning into the hospital entrance. She watched 2 officers jump out and disappear inside. There was always a steady flow of police into the emergency room on Saturday nights. Mia knew Sunday was better, Monday not so good. The horror of what she was about to do snarled and griped from deep in her stomach. She'd feel it in the hours afterwards, when the shame and regret took her in sweats and shivers. But she buried it, as she always did. No time for that now. A crowd of nurses and doctors exited the building. Mia couldn't hear their voices above the rain, but she saw smiles, handshakes, hugs and waves. Friends, colleagues, leaving each other for the night, promising to be back tomorrow. Mia wondered what it felt like, to have someone who cared if they saw you again. She closed her eyes, remembering. Brief flashes of a loving smile, torn away in pain. Mia clenched her jaw and shivered. She waited until the thumping settled in her chest before opening her eyes. She watched 2 of the nurses cross the street towards her. They huddled under the bus shelter, talking to each other, pausing briefly to acknowledge Mia's presence behind them. Mia tucked her head down, tilting it to study them both. The 2 nurses were tired but happy, excited at the prospect of a good night's sleep and motivated to return. They talked of patients and colleagues, affairs and gossip. Mia thought she detected a limp on one. She kept shifting her weight around, but it was minor. The other squinted. A headache, nothing serious. Both women were healthy and happy. Mia sniffed and turned away. A bus came and went and the nurses departed. Mia was alone again. Hardly noticing the rain, she left the shelter and walked at a steady pace across the road. She paused at the row of ambulances, checking the rear doors. All were closed, which meant the patients were already inside. The door hissed open and the noise of the waiting room hit Mia. Raised voices, footsteps and alarms, beds squeaking on the lino floors, and patients, lots of patients. Mia focused. Patients in pain, moaning and weeping, the long, deep sighs associated with extreme trauma. Mia's heart fluttered, strong and urgent. She turned. Mia knew this department well. St. Mary's was one of her more regular haunts. The emergency room was chaotic, more than usual. Patients and visitors spilled over the benches and onto every spare foot of flooring. The triage area for ambulance arrivals was full, with paramedics leaning on trolleys, waiting for their patients to be checked. The sheer number of patients and visitors tonight would make it difficult for Mia to get close to anyone. She paused, keeping her head down, surveying the room before deciding on her backup plan. The AMU. In the acute medical unit, patients had stabilized, or at least they should have done. It was the next stage on after the emergency room. A short stay while beds were found and tests were run. Bloods, ECGs, scans. Fewer staff and fewer visitors. In the AMU, patients were often left unattended for long periods. Perfect. The security was minimal.